And again, this is what we say that we should say this at the start of every episode. We're stupid.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying our best with our limited mental capacity.
Yeah.
And Sienna did not know that the Twin Towers fell.
Does anyone have cyanide?
Speaking of sexual offenders. Not every time. I've just shit myself. We had a episode in the can that we did, and
about 2 weeks ago.
It's got to be more. I feel like we haven't put out an episode in at least more than a month. But that was. This is going to be the rest of the fucking podcast. By the way, there are just dogs going mental in every house, in every fucking.
Yeah. We're cornered.
We're fucking cornered by angry dogs. We had an episode, in the middle of this like hiatus that we didn't publish because it was just like.
So depressing.
It was so depressing. We got too into it.
Yeah.
So we might put that on the Patreon.
I went through a pretty harsh breakup.
Yeah. Not really a breakup, just like a
realization.
Sayonara.
Yeah.
2 passing ships in the night, and one of the ships just happened to be a cunt. Yeah, so we didn't put that. We might put that on Patreon. Patreon.com/GMat podcasts. If you want some extra sick content, if you want all of the monthly Patreon content to be published on the same day, dogs, just sit still.
Yeah.
Let me ask something. So there's this, and this is not an opinion I'm standing by. It's just an opinion I've heard out and about. So periods.
Yeah.
You know how like I don't even know where to start. There's this narrative being spun that like pretend
I can't see the door.
there are dogs just coming
Another
in and
dog
out of
came in.
fucking doggy doors. There's sort of like a thing being like women are not inept when they're on their periods, pretending like women can't make
formal decisions when
or
they're
like
on
they
their
can't.
periods.
That's why
That's
women,
the opinion circulating.
like women are bad at business
When they're on
because
their
if they're on their period,
they're
they're
emotional.
basically useless. They're emotional. Their hormones, all that sort of stuff, which I get. But at the same time, since I was old enough to know, you know, what a period was and be close with women, it's been used as like an excuse for everything you could ever think of. Any like emotional outburst or feeling or like, you know, being like, even like being horny and like some things that it's like, this is unhinged behavior. And then being like, I'm on my period.
The reason why I'm being a psycho is because I'm on my period.
Yeah, or like you know what I realized yesterday when I was crying all day, and we couldn't work out why, and we had that fight. My period came today, and I'm like, oh, of course. Well, you know, is it that wild for people to be like? Now, I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm saying is there a way we can adapt the world to fit that, but like pretending like that doesn't exist or that isn't real or that's like a man-made myth.
I need to just move this closer just
Please.
one time. It depends.
Now I know, I understand on paper that sounds really bad.
No, I know what you're saying.
What I'm saying sounds really, really bad. And I don't stand by this. I don't.
No, but you can.
I've just been thinking about it. I've been thinking about you and girls that I've dated and people who've been like, I'm so sorry that I threw that book at your head yesterday. I was on my period. And I go, of course.
Yeah.
You're bleeding. You're in pain. Your hormones are up and down and whatever else goes on in the body that I don't understand when your wall lining is coming out of your vagina.
I feel like throwing books and just having a little cry at a movie are two very different things. Like if you are aware and you're like, I'm in a bad mood right now. Like if you say to your partner, you walk in the room, you're like, I'm grumpy today. Because I can get pretty grumpy 2 days before it comes. But I acknowledge that. I'm like, just so you know, it's either going to come tomorrow or the next day. And I'm just in a bad mood. My hormones are putting me in a bad mood. But you don't stomp around because of that. You know what I mean? Like if you threw a book at your partner's head and then went, sorry, I'm on my period, that's not okay. That's not an appropriate thing. You might get a little bit more emotional, and things might upset you quicker than they would normally.
Yeah.
Or you might lose your patience a little bit quicker, and then you can, if it's out of character, you can say, that's not like me. I'm not usually snappy like that. I must be very hormonal right now. Also, same with pregnancy. But if you've gone from being, a pretty normal person to hurling shit across the room, that's a chemical imbalance.
Yeah, I know, but it's more like that sort of stuff where it's like
It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to break up with you again. I was on my period.
No, that's
crazy.
That's some wild shit. I'm talking about just brain fog and things, and it genuinely making your day harder and making you make decisions or do actions that you wouldn't, any other day of the month.
Not necessarily. Maybe
But have you ever found that? Have you found yourself, making decisions or
I
thinking
found myself
things?
getting into arguments a lot faster because I'm already pissed off.
So is it crazy to pay attention to that or to notice that and maybe
You have to acknowledge it. You can't.
Well, that's all I mean. I mean,
you have to acknowledge it. You can't just go through life going, well, I get to be a cunt because it's my period.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry I reacted that way. There's a lot of different ways that I could have handled that.
I'm so scared of this conversation. Right? I brought it up.
You were chewing your nails, I know.
I'm shaking.
No, I'm a lady. I'm allowed to talk about it because I get really bad periods.
Yeah.
My ovary is twice the size of, my right ovary is twice the size of my left.
It's only because it's on TikTok. What I've seen is it's this straight white man myth creation that we're perpetuating that that women behave differently on their periods.
We definitely do have, a difference, but it depends how it affects the body. Sometimes people have periods and nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
They have a super light period. They don't have too much pain. They don't have any changes in the body.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my tits almost triple in size when I'm on my period and nothing fits me and I blow up and you feel ugly and you don't want to go anywhere and you're tired. These are all the things. Yes, you still have to go to work and you still have to, go to a party or go to an event or stuff if you've got your period, but it doesn't you don't turn into a different person.
No, not at all.
I think, people who do suffer from mild to severe, mood swings on their period can't just get to walk around and say, I'm allowed to be a fucking...
That's not what I'm saying either. I'm not saying
No, I know.
That's what people should be allowed to do.
That's my opinion. It's no, it's not outlandish to say women are different on their period because it's true. We are. Because our hormones are changing and our tolerance thresholds have halved. Where, my sleep is shit because of how much pain I'm in. So many things. Appetite's different. You don't want to eat because you're nauseous. You've got cravings. All these things are just it forces you to just be in an uncomfortable state. It's like when you're out somewhere and it's humid as fuck and you're just clammy and you're just uncomfortable all day.
So why is it fucked up for me to be because I would never be I feel like I'm always empathetic about it.
Oh, I feel like I see what you're trying to say.
If I acknowledge it, am I...
They're how dare you? Just because I'm on my period doesn't mean...
I'm no.
I see what you're saying.
I'm but also you're proving my point.
Yeah.
No. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
He liked the Barbie movie.
I love the Barbie movie. No, it's you know what? The thing that went through my brain that brought it up was that you and... I won't say who they are because that is private information, but you and two friends of ours, your periods are in sync.
Yeah.
It's something that we've realized and it's kind of funny. And both of them were a little bit off. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? It was getting in my head. I was like, one of them was mad at me and the other one was just being a little bit different. And I was like, oh, I wonder what's going on. And then you were like, I got my period today. And I was like,
it's in the
that's
stars,
what it
in the moon,
is.
in
That
the
must,
stars.
they must be off.
Yeah.
Now, that's really, that's the thing that people say on TikTok is really fucked up for me to sort of...
Oh, to sort of be like, of course they're on their period and they're fucked up.
Yeah, now I'm not saying like, oh, that's
But that's
your
their- that's
period.
the
But
opinion.
I think it's the fact that I would assume it's their period, then not that it's something else. And I'm like,
Yeah, because
I've
you
just-
can. It depends how you say. You were saying
I
it
would
in an
never say it.
empathetic way. You're like, they're on their period, they're in pain. It's taken a bad way when you're like, she must be on her fucking period. You know what I
who
mean?
does that? I guess they're probably
People at, in the office is like, oh,
in the
she's-
office. Jesus
like,
Christ!
Not at my office, but
No,
like,
yeah.
The stock market, you walk
The
past
stock
and the
market.
secretary snap you, and you're on your fucking rags, are you, Dal?
You can't be anecdotal like that. You haven't seen that happen.
No, but that's just how some men are.
I know, but I don't like working in like made up anecdotes.
No, it's like a throwaway.
Show me the body cam footage is all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
It's a throwaway comment that people say like, oh, she must be on a period.
Yeah, but I just haven't heard that since I was like 14. But maybe it's just a different circle of men and women.
Well,
Because I feel like my mum would whip that one out and be like, fucking, what's
It's
her
like-
problem? She must be on her fucking, just be on the rag.
yeah, must be that time, Shark Week.
Yeah, Shark Week. Fucking love this world.
Yeah,
So that's the most scary conversation I've ever had.
yeah. No,
I just,
don't be,
I wonder what your opinion is.
don't
when
be scared. I think you're allowed. Like every woman. Start again. Every woman goes through different changes through those 7 days, 7 to 14 days. It could be, stressful. Maybe you're really needing the period to come because, you had sex or something, or you're stressed out and it won't come, and, all these different things, or it's, deceptively painful this time. I could go on for days. But you will, chemically, your body is producing different hormones. So logically, your attitude may suck a little, or you may be like an absolute hornbag.
That's
like,
the big one. That's the one that like,
it can go in any direction. It's like
Yeah.
the emotions are elevated in whatever north, south, east, or west. Doesn't matter where. They're just elevated. For you to then acknowledge that, it's a recognition of a pattern. You're like, on the 24th of each month, she gets really fucking horny. And like, then, if I say something to offend her, then she gets really snappy, or this and that and the other thing. So it's not just like she's a cunt and nothing else. It could be like, the weather, or this will bother her in this time. And then she'll also really like chocolate and ice cream and things like that. Like you see men on TikTok and they're like, they use that sound alert from Mary Poppins, and when Bert's like, wind's in the east, mist coming, something's about to begin, and he's like going to the shops and getting like heat bag and chocolates and flowers.
Yeah.
Like that's the good acknowledgement. That's like, my lady is going through something that I will never ever know or experience monthly. Because some people do really go through it, like people with endometriosis and PCOS and complications with their cervix and every which way above. They get different symptoms, and it can be like debilitating.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you just get pushed over the edge. Like I went to fucking hospital on my last period because my ovary felt like it was going to explode.
I remember I was there with you.
Yeah.
I went to your gyno appointment with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm an ally.
Yeah. So I'm allowed, yeah, he is. He's an ally. Sat there.
Yeah, I think I've pieced it together what it was. So I'm trying to remember like the pieces that made me go like, because the thing was like I guess someone had admitted, or like an anonymous poll had made it, where a bunch of men had admitted they didn't hire women because for 5 days in the middle of the month
They're useless.
they're not useless, but well, that's the language they used. And then it was the TikTok switch, and like everything, they went too far the other direction, and they went like, that is just untrue. That is uncalled for, unheard of. We're not like, animals who can't control our feel. And I'm like, well, let's not go that far because I've seen it. I've got lived experience. I'm not a stupid person.
You may be a little bit down.
Now, I don't want to interrupt you because we're talking about periods, and I feel like every time I interrupt you, someone's getting mad at me. But I just want to make this point so that I don't get lost.
Go ahead.
I don't get lost in bad context. I'm not saying that person's right. That's a fucking wild, backwards, disgusting thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying it's not. It's
Totally incorrect.
It's weird and toxic
Yeah.
to pretend that it doesn't do anything. That we're like, and it's people coming out like I'm a CEO and like my period has never gotten in the way of my business. It's like it doesn't affect my brain. Like assuming that it's going to change the way I conduct business is wild. I'm like, well, that's
just you.
That's you, but there are people who have these.
I wish I had the whole week off.
I think and that's what I mean. I think like we should give.
Yeah.
You should have fucking 5 days off in the middle of the month.
Yeah.
I'm saying if we don't acknowledge that it does something, that's wild to me.
Because it does.
You should be able to say to your friends, "I'm sorry, I got my fucking period," which you do, and all my female friends go, "I got my fucking period today," and I'm like, "Oh, that's fucking sucks, dick." I guess I don't know.
There is.
But no one's ever gone.
That's not. Yeah, that statement in itself is like that never happens. We never change it. That's not true.
No.
That's not true because you do. It doesn't matter whether you're more efficient at work or not.
Yeah.
Your day to day, it does physically change, and it can and has a high likelihood of affecting your work.
Like remember the other day,
I can't concentrate when I'm pissing out my vagina. I don't think anyone can.
You called me and you were like, "I'm being a fucking cunt to everyone today."
Yes.
And I was like, maybe you should reel it in because you're at work.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'll fucking rip your eyes out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'll
fair.
see you when you get home.
Yeah, that's fair. Hope your wheat bag's doing
Yeah, I was
God's
like, I'll
work.
warm up the wheat bag.
Yeah. Because it's like you've just got no patience because you're already.
You're in pain. And I would do the same thing. I'm not, that's why I say it. I would be exactly the same.
Yeah. So
I miss days of work if my tummy feels a little sore. I didn't stream this morning because I had McDonald's at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Like the statement, yes, it's very direct and maybe not delivered in a safe and healthy way.
No.
But, and yes, I don't think they should discriminate against women because of only that factor.
Absolutely.
I think women are an
That would be
asset in the
wild.
workplace and we,
Here we go. Baboomshka. Throw it out. She gonna, nose period. Boom.
Oi.
Hooey boy.
I think women are an asset in every workplace. I think we bring a different dynamic. I also think that men and non-conforming people, everyone is an asset. If you get the job, you're clearly great at the work. It's not about gender or identity or anything like that or our fucking periods. Yes, we may be a little cunty. I know I am, 100%. I'll put my hand up and say my work is affected by my period because I might have one of those days where I am vomiting. Do you know what I mean? You can't be typing an email and hurling your guts up at the same time. But you can also go through those times where you've had, naproxenics the day before, which are like these sodium tablets you take before your period comes and it prevents the cramping when it starts. Sorry.
You've also been doing this since you were like 14.
Yeah.
So you're like, I know if this week I'm going to be shit, I'll do some extra shit next week or something like that.
It's not, there shouldn't be any discrimination because a female goes through this for 5 days in the month because then you take away the fact that they can do so much. If you expect everyone to be a robot for 7 days a week, then you should hire robots.
Yeah.
Because men go through stuff too. What about when men get sick and they have the man flu and it's the end of the world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they've got pressures from feeding their children and, keeping their wife happy. Oh, it's my wife's anniversary and I haven't gotten to get her something because I'm at work and I've got to make up an excuse to leave early and get her thing. Or, oh, my kid's failing at school or something like I can't.
I mean, that's a lived experience for everyone, I imagine. I don't think that's exclusively a man problem.
No, but it's like...
And that's in support of what you're saying. I'm like, I think everyone has their shit.
Everyone has their shit. It's not,
We don't have like a biological once a month, something's gonna...
No, there is no
I don't think so. I don't know.
There's no biological thing to say that your work will be affected, but that should be
But a shit
considered
worker
such
is a shit worker.
Yeah, well, that should be considered as such a minor thing to happen. And as an owner or a CEO of a workplace, you should make the environment so they do feel comfortable to come to work on their period. I'll say so Sophie and I were the first 2 younger females to be employed at the factory and they had no sanitary bins there when we started. And so for 3 months we were taking our pads home with us because we didn't.
So fucking crazy.
So because we didn't really know how to approach it because it's a male run factory.
So you can't just go up to the boss and say we need sanitary bins in the bathrooms because we bleed out of our vaginas.
Well, I did end up saying that. I was like, oh.
But why did it take 3 months? What makes
just
that happen?
Just because
were you embarrassed?
Embarrassed, yeah. Just
really?
Just embarrassed, like that we were asking him to put forth an expense.
For your vagina blood?
Yeah, because he's in my age, so he might not have thought of that.
But
you
who?
know?
But I don't know. I don't know
he
why.
was so much more embarrassed than we were.
But where does the embarrassment come from?
That he didn't have the bins there.
No, but for you, like, why did it take 3 months to do it?
just because it's uncomfortable to say to your boss, "I'm pissing out my vagina."
Is it?
Yeah, for me it is. Yeah, every time I go to the toilet and I have to take a pad with me, I'll hide it. Like I'll hide it in my sleeve. I'll hide it in my bag. Like I'll quickly run. Just because it's an embarrassing.
That's fine. That's not wild to me. Like I think I'd hide my pad because I don't want people to know that I'm bleeding out of my vagina.
Yeah.
Not because it's embarrassing to bleed out of your vagina, but just because it is. I don't want people to know that I have diarrhea.
Yeah, exactly.
Not comparing diarrhea with period blood, but it's like these are normal functions of the body. I still don't want people to know about it. I still hide my medication when I go to the pharmacist and I take it out. I don't want people to know that I have an ear infection or whatever. I get that, but I would also be totally comfortable. I think. Going out to my boss and saying, what the fuck? There's no sanitary. We're bleeding. Mm-hmm. Or we do bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, it just wasn't considered. And then, I did all the things. I, looked it up and I was like, I have a quote for some sanitary bins. He's like, oh my God. Like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Obviously I'm a dude and this didn't cross my mind because, we've never had that. This factory's been open for 40 years. We've never had a sanitary bin. And, now we do. It's all good. And it was sorted. And he was embarrassed because it's something he didn't think about. And we're like, it's fine. It's cool. No worries. It's all good. We'll just get one now. And
he's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
He's a fucking scumbag.
Ally.
Oh, kill him.
Yeah. Oh, kill him.
I'll kill him and his wife, take her if I want.
He doesn't have a wife.
You need to talk closer to your mic.
Yeah. What I was saying before was that if CEOs make it a comfortable environment to work in, then the productivity when they are on their period is going to be higher. Yeah. If they make it a toxic work environment where they have no motivation to work on a normal day, how do you think they're going to function when they aren't feeling great?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you make the workplace a welcoming, accepting place to be, and sometimes gals do actually get very sick, and it is a consistent thing that happens every month. But if they say I'm vomiting, I've got dizziness, I've got nausea and sweats and fever and whatever you get when you're on your period, however it may happen to you, that owner or CEO or whoever should have the courtesy to say okay, fair enough. What do you need? Do you want to stay? And what can we do? And lots of workplaces won't do that. They'll say, that sucks, at my work, if you're sick, and you just go home. Not that we do, and we should, but
I think you should get 1 day off.
When it comes, I would love.
No, the next day.
The second day is always
the
worst.
Second day you get.
Yeah.
The day it comes, and you have to. It's like a COVID test. You have to send a picture of your.
Yeah. You got to send a picture of the bloodbath, of the clots. Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many people upset.
No,
there will be. There's always someone upset. There's always someone fucking upset. Even if you have full right intentions of what you're doing, or you believe you're following your trajectory of your values, someone is going to be that one step ahead of you, being like, actually, fuck you.
It'll be like, what happens if people don't get periods and they're still on hormone imbalance? Shut up.
Yeah.
Shh.
Wait, what did you just say?
What happens if people who identify as women who don't get their periods but they're going through hormonal things?
Yeah. I think. Let's not get into it. Well, I mean, it's the same thing as. I mean, that's like.
If it's a chemical change in your body.
Yeah.
In anyone's body.
Yeah.
You acknowledge that it's a chemical change in your body. You acknowledge that your feelings may be heightened.
Yeah.
And you move on.
Yeah.
And you don't discriminate, and you don't use it as bait or excuse or clearance to do things that aren't acceptable in traditional society.
But the acknowledging is what I think is important. Maybe it doesn't have to be acknowledged like in the workplace if that makes people uncomfortable, but at least in life.
But you should, in your brain, not walk around and say, I'm allowed to be shitty.
No, I don't think anyone's doing that.
That's good. Yeah.
Who's doing that? I'm saying, I'm not saying that should be, I'm just saying I want to at least in my brain make allowances for someone who's on their period.
Yeah, and
these
it's on the other
TikToks
end,
would say
yeah.
that that's sexist. To change your behavior at all, or to, and I'm like, I don't think that's true.
Oh, because they went the other way because the guy's like, we don't want any women because they bleed. And they're like, but we don't do anything wrong.
Nothing changes. We're exactly
Yeah.
the same people and you're fucked up. And I'm like, well,
That's
no.
also not true.
No, I think that's fucking backwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's stop talking about periods. It's making me fucking sick. I'm
Disgusting.
joking.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys.
Come on,
I
guys.
liked the Barbie movie.
I got, I don't know if this is worth talking. Let's pick something lighter. I was about to talk about the Facebook comment about me
Yeah,
in that casting. Is that something worth talking about?
it's controversial. I like it.
Yeah, but I worry you're going to say something fucked up because you're dumb.
I will think before I speak.
Yeah. No, you're not dumb. I'm trying to rile you up.
Yeah.
Nothing's working tonight. I'm throwing like really like
I'm really happy right
mean
now.
shit at your face and you're going, yeah.
I'm really happy on my show.
Yeah, gosh,
I'm really happy, gosh.
I was in I'm doing a production, and
Rent.
well, I didn't want to say what it was, but
Sorry.
that's right. I'm doing a show, and this happens with everything because
You can't win.
there's a big movement right now, especially in amateur theatre. I guess to sort of pick up the slack of professional theatre, who, people believe aren't trying that hard.
To be inclusive.
To be inclusive and promote diversity in shows. Here's where I stand.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, I'll come back to that. Let me say what happened and then I'll point out why I made the decision I made. So I'm doing this show and this is such a crazy diverse cast.
Oh, yeah. It's
I've
great.
never worked with such a diverse group
mixture.
of people, especially in like a smaller company. We've
Yeah.
done big company shows that have 30 white people on stage.
You should be proud.
They should be proud, and and people should be acknowledging that and going, "Well done, this is a good example. Let's
That's
keep
never
this
going
going."
to happen.
No one's going to fucking sit down and go, "This is a win." Mm-hmm. They're going to go, "This is almost a win, but here's 1%."
And we're going to
fucked up."
criticize you because it wasn't a total win.
Yeah, which is borderline impossible. It's amateur theater. Yeah. Anyways, so it's and it's not the same as like other diverse casts. Is just
He's not doing fucking Hairspray.
no, it's in the casts that have been like acknowledged, like, oh, good diverse is having some BIPOC performers, which to some people is not enough. And I go, yeah. Sometimes I see shows, I'm like, oh, you're just ticking boxes. It's like you've got every lead person is a white person, and then you just got like there's like an Asian girl in the ensemble,
doesn't
and
know
they're like,
that they're in the
we nailed it. This is like actively people involved, spread across the board. Of
Leads, ensemble, everything.
disabled,
It is perfectly cast.
disabled, trans, BIPOC
Yep.
performers. It's a good show.
Yep.
The thing that they got wrong in some people's eyes is they cast me as a Jewish man. Now it's important to acknowledge, which I think is important to acknowledge, is the only reason I'm bringing it up, and I'm only bringing it up because someone else did, but that the character I'm playing is, as far as you can tell, a non-practicing Jew. He's a white guy my age. We're basically the same person.
He's played by a redhead.
Except his parents are Jewish and my parents are Christian.
Yeah.
And traditionally played by a non-Jewish person. Anthony Rapp's not Jewish.
Yeah.
So the Jewish part of his story is not in his story. He doesn't face any adversity because of his religious background.
It's got nothing to do with anything.
It doesn't have
It
any.
actually has nothing to do with. Now you're gonna get me riled up.
Yeah.
The fact that the way
I'm not playing a rabbi, is what we're saying.
No.
I'm playing a guy who is exactly the same as me.
it fucks me off.
We have religious parents and have watched some things change because of religious parents, and we don't practice.
Mm-hmm.
We are the same person. Now, obviously, there are people and Jewish people who go, no, that's not the case because our religion's different from your religion. I hear what you're saying, and obviously there's history of Jewish people being prosecuted and killed and genocided and stuff.
But then, can a Jewish person play Pontius Pilate?
Well, I mean, it's not like Irish Catholics weren't like
Yeah.
there's a history. If you go far enough, everything. I'm not now. That's a really weak opinion. I'm not using that. I'm just saying that if that's it
I
would be,
can't believe that someone commented like
it would be
is-
totally fine for a young Jewish man to play a priest. No one would care. And if the reason for that is historical oppression, there is historical oppression for all walks of life.
You can't win.
And obviously, the top of the scale is Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting that aside as something that's not important. I'm just saying the treatment of Jews in Germany during World War II has nothing to do with I would never, in my right mind, audition for like the Diary of Anne Frank or something like that.
It's not. This show that you are doing has absolutely nothing to do with religion. Nothing to do with religion.
And the other part of it is like making sure people are represented by my views on representation and inclusivity and diversity in theatre and in any kind of art is that we should be trying to make an effort to tell stories and cast people and promote stories, production teams, people that are traditionally underrepresented.
Yeah.
People who don't get seen very much. So we should be making an effort to tell stories that are traditionally not told.
Yeah.
Pushing forward and helping actors and performers who have been traditionally underrepresented because of whatever they're going on.
Oops.
You know, can a disabled person do this role if we adjust it? Or are we going to make sure that no disabled person ever gets a chance because it's a dancey role? I'm like, is there some other cool way we can adapt this to allow a disabled person and give them a chance? That's cool. I like it when we promote underrepresented people.
Yeah.
Now, that's the reason why I was like, I'm okay, because everybody has their own values. Everyone has their own system that they have to follow, and that's my system. And in that belief system, which will change over time, everyone's belief system change with context. That's my current belief system.
Yeah.
And my current belief system in this story says that Jewish people are not underrepresented in musical theatre by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's I was about to say overrepresented. That's not what I mean. But like, this is not an unsafe. This is like I think it was Mel Brooks was like he called Broadway the Jew haven, and he's like the most Jewish man you'll ever meet.
But they just it's not the fact that they're underrepresented. It's the fact that they picked apart this tiny detail.
Yeah.
That they.
I'm just explaining why I was like, I'm comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
Is because in my belief system, I wouldn't want to play
And
the
it's
role
not-
of someone. I would give it to someone who is underrepresented, but I don't believe Jewish people are underrepresented.
The way I read it was like, oh, they're not casting correctly. Like, if they had a White Collins or something like that, or a fucking seaweed from Hairspray if they were white. I get that if you say you weren't casting correctly, which is kind of what, a company did for Kinky Boots. And they came back and said, like, this was the most talented person in the room.
Yeah.
They did acknowledge that they had people of color audition and they chose talent. I don't think that's correct. I think you should, if you do have a broad spectrum of people and you have a character who's written very heavily in that certain identity, then and you've got someone in the room and they're capable of doing the role and they fit those boxes, then I definitely think you should cast them. But but
the reason also is like, if you go by talent, this white person was more talented. You go, well, have they had more opportunities to train?
Yeah.
Have they had more opportunities? Because there are so many more roles for white people. So maybe this is a chance to give someone else a go and make them better.
Yeah.
Like, give them a chance to train, because that's the only way you get better is by doing. You can't practice at home. I'm not the same as I was 10 years ago because I played so many roles. I get chances. I get to try stuff. If I hadn't done anything, I wouldn't have. I can't get better at performing here in my house.
And they also can't. think where I was going with that is they can't force people into an audition room, and it's not a paid gig.
Yeah.
They can't contact someone who does fit all of the fucking boxes and tell them to come and perform. They just have to work with what they've got. And you are playing a lead role that has to be filled.
Yeah.
They cannot write you out of the show.
Yeah.
You are an integral part of the show, not because of your religious identity, because of the character that you are playing. And what are they supposed to fucking do when they cast everything else that is detrimental to the show correctly? But for this particular role, for the people who are auditioning for this particular role, no one practices Judaism.
See, this is people will be like, they don't even fucking
No, I don't. Fuck you. I
And
didn't
by
know
the
the
way,
towers fell.
I see if someone's listening to this and they don't have context. That's you being self-deprecating and saying. And again, this is what we say that we should say this at the start of every episode. We're stupid.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying our best with our limited mental capacity.
Yeah.
And Sienna did not know that the Twin Towers fell. She thought they got rebuilt. That they just
thought they
broke
got
windows.
rebuilt.
I think. Yeah, when you're like saying you have two people in the room, one's white, let's say we have a black person, a white person. The role should be played by a black person who's maybe a little bit less talented. I would promote them because they have been underrepresented and it gives them a chance to train, to practice, to get their skills and to represent the story correctly.
Yeah, it's just the
If
right
you have
thing.
a
For
Christian
the sake
man
of the
and a
story.
Jewish man auditioning for Mark and I'm more talented, I think we have similar experiences and I wouldn't be as pushy to.
And it's
go
such
with
a
that
not important part of the story. If you
Let me finish that thought. I wouldn't be as quick to do that because it isn't an underrepresented demographic in musical theatre. And that's the only point I want to make is that's why I think it's okay because in my worldview, it's about underrepresentation. And do I think I have the skills to represent this character? Yeah, because it's me.
Yeah.
It's just another white dude.
Yeah.
Another non-practicing white dude with a religious background.
It makes no sense in my brain.
No, and
Why?
Generally to most people it makes no sense. And just this one person
The most
on
unimportant
Facebook
thing.
who just decided to fucking
What a fucking keyboard warrior.
yeah, and then just like watching the love hearts and likes roll in on that comment, I was like, have I done something wrong here? And then I speak to I won't say their name, but or someone in the cast who fronts a group. He's a Jewish man who fronts a group about casting correctly and Jewish representation and blah blah blah. And he was like, "You're good, man." And his explanation was, "This story is not about his religion.
No.
He's just a person, much like you."
I've seen the show so many times. I had no idea.
Yeah.
They're just being.
Also, how does she know that I'm not Jewish?
Well, that's the
she
thing.
can't look that up. It's just she was ready for this.
Yeah.
And the fact that it made me sick to my stomach thinking about this person asking people, being like, Matthew Arter, is he a Jewish man? And then like asking questions about me and trying to hunt down my identity and trying to work out my background so she can make her fucking dumb Facebook
Go
post.
knit a scarf. Do you
Go
is
touch
that-
some fucking grass. There
Literally
is so
get-
many bigger problems right now
yeah.
than me playing fucking Mark in Rent.
for a community theatre.
Yeah, where we're
Get
in
off
a
Facebook,
cast, in an
lady.
amazing cast of
I'm sorry your
diverse
husband
people.
doesn't love you, but you need
Pull
to
it
get off.
fucking together.
You need to get off Facebook.
Now, this is a real person. We don't actually know if her husband doesn't love her, but we should acknowledge it.
If I was her husband, I wouldn't like her.
It's
so.
really, it's disgusting. I think she is a disgusting person. And what she doesn't realize is that I'm a real person.
Yeah. And you also didn't cast you.
No, I went in to play this character and tell this story.
You wanted to be in the show.
I was keen and I want to do a good job and I want to be behind this cast of really, really cool fucking people. And she's just thrown a stink on top for no fucking reason.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there's the argument to be made that she's also a real person, but I didn't fucking start it.
No, and she didn't have to post publicly on a public forum. She could have messaged directly to. I know people who post on Facebook forums and they're just absolute mongrels and they're just trying to pick a fight and they're like, oh, I'm just calling out the bad behavior. And it's like, no, you look dumb. You look like you have a bee in your bonnet and you are like bringing it to everyone's attention. You're making everyone uncomfortable. Like I knew
you could have spent energy acknowledging the really good stuff.
Yeah.
But instead you decided to bring ugly stuff into the mix.
Yeah.
And she's a professional theatre reviewer. That's what freaked me out. I was like, oh, here's this person who now has done their research on me.
If they put that in a review and say this person wasn't a thingo,
I'll burn her fucking house down.
I'm
joking.
I will comment and say, sorry, did you go and see the same show that I did?
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not going to burn her house.
I'm not.
I wanted to just pop off and say something wild because I felt like we were being serious for too long.
The thing that really rolled me up is the people that know us personally who liked the post and who love-hearted the post.
Yeah. People who know me and at least know that I'm like a decent person. I think it would be nice if those people had, I don't know, grown a pair of fucking balls and commented and been like, this dude is capable of telling the story and he'll do a good job.
Yeah,
and
which is what I wanted to do. And you're like, please don't.
I was like, yeah, well, I told everyone just not to say anything. I didn't say anything. I shut my mouth. Obviously in the cast chat, people are like, what the fuck is going on? And I just shut my mouth. I was like, that's probably smarter for me just to sit back and then wait a couple of weeks and then do a whole podcast about it.
The thing is, you have nothing to worry about.
No, I'm not worried. It only pisses me off because, I have.
It would piss me off too if it I wouldn't be as cordial as you. I would go and burn the house down. How dare you make me look bad online for no fucking reason?
No, she didn't make me look bad. She made herself look bad. And I have a complex with people liking me. So seeing a professional musical theatre reviewer say what's going on with this dude, I'm like, that makes me feel icky. And like I said, her looking through my shit to work out who I am and what my story is, and then just having this just disregard for a lot of the amazing stuff that, like she said it in the comments, she's like, look, it's really good to see some blah blah blah. I'm like, is it? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And just go, you know what? This is a step in the right direction.
They say the first sentence and then it's but. But means, forget what I just said. This is what I actually mean. I'm trying to soften the blow of what I actually mean because I'm saying something that is not my opinion.
And it's also, it's so fucking two-dimensional and disgusting to be like, every people underrepresented who aren't a part of my community, how cool is it to see this happen? But my community hasn't been represented correctly. So I'm mad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would you have cared if yours was and everyone else's wasn't? Probably. She probably still would have made a fucking post, but like
yeah.
I don't know, man.
There's so many things, but people do it about everything.
Yeah, it's like me. I didn't get I'm like, well, there's a lot of good shit that's going on and a lot of like bigger problems right now. And other shows are doing far, far worse. You could have pointed to us and gone like, good job. But
like Disney are doing the same thing. This is not representing the character. You're just doing this so you look woke as fuck.
I agree to an extent. I think that like it doesn't matter. It does not matter. But we can see that in the original brief they said, do not cast a white person, or we must cast a BIPOC performer for this. And it's a corporation. Yeah. So it is really, really transparent, and you see them putting no effort into what they're doing.
Yeah, they had to change.
They're checking a box to look good, and people don't like that.
No, that's the thing.
But everyone doesn't like that. But BIPOC performers
casting.
Don't. It's weird, and it's transparent, two-dimensional. And then you create something that's kind of crap, and then what you've done is you've attached a person of color to a crap product. Yeah. And set everyone back. Yeah. When you could be doing something cool like Encanto and Moana and stuff like that, creating new cool stories. But you go, what's the thing we can do? Oh, we'll just remake this thing and we'll cast a black person. Yeah. Weird, man. Yeah. Now, obviously, I don't fucking care. I don't watch it and go, they shouldn't. They should have cast a white person. Mate, they should cast whoever's good for the job. Yeah. But I know that they did that on purpose. Now, I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's great. I don't fucking know.
Oh, it's not.
It's not good? Well, no. I mean, I've heard people, and there's also people who go, if you are criticizing this film, you're racist. Like people that I know, that we know. That's why I'm sort of tentative to talk about it.
But it's got nothing to do with her. It's got everything to do with the corporation making that decision.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to tick a box. Why not tick the box of casting 7 little people instead of animating them? You know what I mean? Like they took roles away from 7 people who identify as dwarfs or have dwarfism and they animated them. So why is her being a person who's, not of Anglo descent, tick, 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 but like axing any role possible for, these people who are underrepresented? I said I did this.
Have you seen the articles going around about Peter Dinklage gatekeeping dwarf performing?
No.
It's because he came out and said he like boycotted the film. He's like, this is such a fucking backward story about this, 7 dwarves helping this pretty white girl and tending to her and cleaning her and needing help and whatever. That these 7 dwarf story is really backwards. And then there is like, I mean, obviously it's what we've been talking about this whole time. You can't please everybody. There is a huge chunk of like the dwarf community that are like, can you stop fucking gatekeeping? You built your career off the back of stereotypes and roles that you would now say that's fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not.
I should be able to play any
a normal person, yeah.
And now you're not allowing us
People
to enter
who-
the industry by finding the roles that are written for us. That like it's a little maybe embarrassing or what's the word I'm looking for?
And they didn't even call them dwarves in the movie. They were
I'm not saying that this is right. I'm just saying there are people that are like, we don't get opportunities, and I know but we're actors and it's a little demeaning, but like we could really use that job, and then we'll get that job, we'll get something on our show reel, and then we'll move into
like what a fantastic
better, cooler roles. And it may be demeaning, but you can't be the fucking.
You can't win them all.
You can't stop and be like, no one else is allowed to do that. I've done
Yeah.
that now, and now I'm at the top of the career, and I'll make things better. And you don't actually have the power to change the industry. All you've done is take 7 roles away from your community. Now, he's got his values, and he goes, that's fucked up. But they still told the story, and they still animated characters. Now, were the animated characters voiced by dwarfs?
Not sure.
Is it dwarfs? I'm sorry if I'm using the wrong language, everybody.
Well, they didn't
I'm a dumb
call
person.
them. They didn't call them dwarf. Well, it is Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Mm-hmm.
That is the title of the movie. And this one's just called Snow White, and they weren't called dwarves at all. They were called mining people. It's more demeaning.
It feels like a parody. Mining people. Were they little?
Yes, they were animated as dwarves.
But they didn't call them dwarves. They called them little miners.
Like Titus Burgess was bashful.
Yeah. Okay. So like,
Shut the fuck up.
It's an opportunity for actors. And I mean, if they wanted to do it that way, and then maybe they could have cast little people to voice the dwarves, and then they don't have to get in the green suit and be fucking demeaned and meant to feel like they're still little characters. But like, if they're gonna do it and they're gonna get people to voice it, that's the shit they should focus on, not Snow White. They should be given opportunities to people. Like, there's just, what was the last movie you saw that had a dwarf in it? I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to say dwarf or little people, so just give me some fucking leeway. I'm uneducated and come from a bad town. I went to a bad school and I'm trying my best. What was the last time you saw a movie that had a little person in it? Game of Thrones. It was probably Peter Dinklage.
Probably Yeah.
Yeah. I watched Elf. I'd never seen Elf before, and he was in that playing the dwarf CEO or the dwarf writer or whatever.
And it's all
and it was all part of his character. And
it's all the juxtaposition because he's playing this massive CEO played by a little person.
Yeah, and he's got to come in and be
That's
like, oh
why
my
it's
god,
funny.
it's an elf.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like that's the joke, and that is in Peter Dinklage's world demeaning. That's the role is built around his size, and he doesn't like that. He's like, I should just be like a regular character.
But that's not the world. I'm really, really sorry to tell you that. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that Sienna from Mentally Illegal is the one to tell you that. But unfortunately, majority rules, and that's just not the way the world is. I'm sorry about it. That does really suck. Isn't that a rotten shame, in my opinion? But there's 7 other billion people on this planet who, unfortunately, majority rules. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can have opinions on anything in the world. Yeah. It's like the same thing.
But then you did it. You played all those roles, and now you have a great career.
You proved them wrong. Woohoo!
Yeah, and he could be like starting up theatre companies for little people, or creating movies himself a little bit, but I don't know what he's doing. All I've seen is him whinging on Facebook.
People who
and people then
whinge
starting this,
need to stop.
then other little people turning on him and being like, bruv, shut the fuck up. We're trying to make a living here.
Yep.
We don't have that many options, and you literally took away 7 roles from our community and gave it to some tall fuckers.
Well, you could say that, like, on the other hand of it, now people who are who have transitioned or who just decide that one day they are identified as something else, that they're not allowed to compete in their new identifying sport.
Let's not touch this one.
No, you're scared of this one?
I'm so scared of this one.
Really?
Of course I'm scared of this one.
This it just can't be.
What?
It can't be.
What can't be?
It can't happen. They can't join their non-identifying gender sport because it's biologically unfair.
Yeah, but that's not totally true. There are systems in place to make sure that the competition is still fair.
Yes, I agree.
And it's super, super rare. Like what is it, like less than 1% of the population is trans, and then you've got professional sports. Trans women aren't going to just suddenly start dominating women's sports.
But like you look at Leah Thomas, who did.
What did she do?
So Leah Thomas was a...
Hello, gang. It's Matt doing the editing. I don't like to I don't really like to cut too much out of podcasts. So I try to make it seamless, but there's no way to really make this seamless. So I wanted to explain why we cut this out. We realized post, it's hard when we're doing the podcast to fact check ourselves, and post recording did the fact checking, and we were very close to spreading misinformation. The reason I'm telling you this is because it is important when you listen to our podcast to not digest everything that we say, because I'm not always going to catch myself. I try to make it as clear as possible at the start of recordings that we are stupid. But we couldn't put this out and spread misinformation. The misinformation being, if you care to know, is that Leah Thomas is not an Olympic swimmer. She was competing in the NCAA event. She did not break any world records. She won her event and had one of the best times in the country. Didn't break a world record. That was basically all we got wrong, but it felt wrong the way that we were talking about it to put that out there. Anyways, I'm going to keep the podcast going. I hope you're enjoying. I'm so sorry. Bye.
The only reason I'm scared to talk about it is because I don't actually know what I'm talking about, and I don't think you do either.
No, of course not.
I think it's a very touchy topic, and it's the same thing I was saying before about diverse casting. What was the first thing we talked about? Periods. Peter Dinklage. I think if we enter a world where you can't have conversations, then we're fucked.
Yeah.
Because I on paper, I feel what you're feeling. I see, all right, someone spent 25 years of their life developing the male body, which is different. Their bodies are different, and then they switch, and then they go into women's sport. On paper, I'm like, well, they've obviously got an advantage. But there are people who I trust and respect who say that the systems in place are there, and it's actually not as...
Yeah, like the
it's not as
boxing and
unfair.
things like that. Like they have to weigh the same, and this
And
and
it's
that
it's
and the
not
other,
that
and-
it's not as unfair as the media is pushing it to be. And I go, okay, well, I'm not well versed in this topic, but I trust you. I respect you. You probably know what you're talking about. I can at least get a bit of comfort from that.
I think...
But this is one of those things where I think, geez, I'd love to be able to have open conversations about this.
Yeah.
But right now we can't.
Yeah.
Because trans people and incredibly woke people will take this the wrong way and think that we are...
Yeah, I think that the
fucking-
systems have to be in place to make it fair. And if it is fair, and if those systems do work, and you can make it fair, like that boxer made it all fair, she had to do tests and things like that. I think people are worried about men waking up one day and not necessarily transitioning like identifying as like I identify as a woman as of Monday today, and I am now switching into a women's category.
Yeah.
That I don't think should happen. But if they have gone through the bodily changes to become
Well, they can't do that. There are you have to have hormones for a certain amount of time. Have to have there are systems in place to make sure that someone can't have last Monday been identifying as a man.
And I think that's what people are worried that's going to happen.
It's never going to happen. It's the same thing when gay marriage happened. They're like, "What's next? We're going to marry our dogs?" No, of course not.
Yeah.
There's no one is as stupid as right-wing media will paint left people to be. I think we should be in a world where we're allowed to acknowledge things. I have that argument deep inside me that I don't want to express, where I go, a cis woman and a trans woman have completely different experiences. And if we just lump everyone together, we're silencing so many important stories. And I don't think there's anything fundamentally fucked up with acknowledging trans women and cisgender women. Is it cisgender when you're born a woman and you identify as a woman and you that's, you know, I think that's cisgender. Again, stupid, uneducated. But I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging that these two different things are different.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
I
a
see
lot
what
of
you're saying.
lot of similarities, but
Like
silencing the experience of cisgendered women who have their periods and can give birth and stuff that unfortunately trans women can't experience if they were born biologically a man.
They just want to be like, if I'm a woman with everyone else.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I just I would never try to silence someone's identity and their journey to end up in feeling fully and totally like a woman.
Oh yeah, like womanhood is like, you know, the gals. Like, if you want to be a gal's gal, be a gal's gal.
Yeah.
More gals, the better.
But you have to also be able to have conversations where, like, you will not understand an experience that a trans woman has, and a trans woman will be plenty of experiences that you don't, because there is fundamental things that you've learnt from growing up and being sexualized by the age of 12. And getting your period at 14 and getting bullied by boys from your period, and then I don't know, maybe people who are like sexually assaulted. I'm not saying this is the female experience. I'm saying this is as bad as it can get.
Yeah.
And these really horrid experiences must form you as a person. And if someone transitioned at 25 and became a woman, those experiences, they didn't share those. They grew up as a boy, but they also had their own experience of being like not feeling comfortable in their body, or trying to getting caught wearing a dress or
their parents
whatever.
Not accepting them.
Not acknowledging that these things are different and that where you end up is not exactly the same feels a little silly to me. Now, I'm not saying that on dating apps, that thing where it's like, you must tell me if you have a penis. Obviously, there's a part of me that's like, well, please let me.
Yeah, for God's sake.
Don't wait till we're at that point and be like, oh, by the way, I'm like, because then there's other conversations that have to happen.
And people who don't want to tell you that's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
that's actually insane.
If you're
that's catfishing.
Yes, and there is a fundamental. There is a demographic of people that will go, that's fucked up, that whether I have a penis or a vagina.
No, it's not. I don't really feel like licking a pussy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, we say it and we go, yeah, of course. But then there are people in that community that go, that's really fucked up. You should love me. I'm like, well, unfortunately, I don't love everybody for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not attracted to every woman.
Yeah.
And there are some men that I'm attracted to that I go, that's an attractive man. Not attracted to, but I think that's an attractive man. But I'm not really interested in the pianos.
Yeah.
And I really love pussy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if there is an attractive man who has a pussy, I don't know what I might do. I might find that attractive later in life. Right now, currently, I haven't experienced that. But I'm like...
Or want to experience it.
But like sexuality is obviously a spectrum and it's fluid and whatever. But...
everyone's allowed to do whatever they want.
Yeah, and
you're allowed to do whatever you want.
Communication,
and if you don't like that, that's all right.
Communication is important across the board. And maybe, obviously, we've gone way off track here. We're not talking about that. We're just I'm just trying to say that I want to be in a reality, in a world where you can communicate things and you can ask questions and be like, is this on paper? And like,
well, again, you are, and I'm as dumb as a fucking shoe. And I should feel, and that's why I say, like, in a joking way, I didn't know the Twin Towers fell, because I truly didn't. I'm not a bad person. I don't I'm not mean to anybody, but I am wanting to live in that world where you can have a conversation like, sorry, I didn't know this. I didn't educate myself. My bad. Like, we can giggle about it at my expense, and fair enough. But if I can't stand in a room and say, I don't understand this, or this is my opinion, and everyone goes, it's not my job to fucking educate you, and by the way, your opinion is wrong. It's like, well, that's just going to drive me further towards my opinion because of just your pure reaction. You know what I mean?
I've said it 100 times that when people say it's not my job to educate you, I'm like, well, that is an incredibly privileged stance to take, where you're assuming that I and people who you go, it's not my job to educate them, have the same income, upbringing, education, which is important.
Exposure.
Like,
to
I'm
different
real happy
things.
that you came from a private girls' school. Person, I'm actually talking. You know who I'm fucking talking about. But I didn't. I grew up in one of the worst schools in Victoria, where the ATAR was 86, as the Ducks was 86. We have different backgrounds, different families. I spent the first 18 years of my life growing up around trash, right-wing trash, and that gets in your system. And so then I enter this world and I start to adapt and I start to change and I start to learn some stuff. But that's not everyone's experience. Some people don't even know how to educate themselves. They don't know where shit is.
Yep.
They don't know that they're doing anything wrong. Maybe they are like of limited mental capacity. Maybe they are. No, I'm not talking about you. But
I am.
But some people are might have mental illnesses or be mentally disabled or whatever fucking thing it could be. And you go, it's not my job to educate you. Why don't you grow some fucking balls, stand up and acknowledge that you are in a position of privilege and you've been given the power to be able to do these things.
Or you just you have knowledge in that field.
Yeah, so share
if
it, you fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with
Pretending
like the
things don't
women's
exist.
bathroom thing. It's like, yeah, some men are fucking scumbags and will go in there and threaten and become a predator to women. And some people just don't feel comfortable if they do identify as a woman and they're dressed, accordingly. They don't want to go into the male bathroom. And that's fair enough too. There's two sides to every story.
I'm going to cut this just because I think it might undermine all our better points.
That's probably for the best. I'll find that video and show it to you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like-
Obviously, there's anecdotal shit like that, but again, like I haven't seen the body cam footage. I can't comment on it. There wasn't body cam footage. That's just
cut it
That's
out.
just a thing that I say sometimes.
Just cut it all out.
It's gone.
It's
Yeah.
gone?
Yeah. I think it's worth pointing out one very important thing that people get upset about is that we're here having this conversation and there's not a trans person in the room. Now, I find that to be a really, really stupid argument. Because what we're doing right now is, wouldn't it be a little fucking weird? Because we don't plan what we're going to talk about. We literally, before the podcast, we got nothing. And I just started talking about periods. And that's how we got onto this. It would be super weird for us to be like, oh, let's just get a trans person in for this.
This is not what this...
It's Disney ticking a box.
This is not what this podcast is about.
We have plenty of trans friends who would love to just chime in on this conversation. But they're not here because they don't do this podcast.
Yeah.
And we're not going to invite someone in and be like, we're planning to have a trans conversation. Can you come do that?
Yeah.
We don't plan. And also, I wouldn't do that.
No.
Because that's weird,
objectifying
man.
them.
And to act like nobody like sits around with their group of friends who might all be of the same race, religion, background, gender, whatever, and don't have conversations like this is wild. We all do this. That's how it works. Because unfortunately, we're putting ours on the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are talking about the entire time, apart from periods, we've talked about people we don't represent and communities we don't represent, and trying to like come to decisions and ideas without anyone else's input. But everybody does that. You know what that's called? A fucking conversation.
Like if I have a comment, I say this. Sorry, I've said this on a few podcasts. Like, I dare you to comment on how stupid I am. I'll fucking agree with you. It doesn't bother me. It bothers me that people don't invite me in to have that conversation to educate me like you do. Like, you don't get disgusted at the fact that I thought they put new windows in at the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, babe, this happened and they fell and, and they're no more. They took the rubble, everything, they're gone. Gone. That's it. And now it's Lulu outside, growling. And now I'm educated in that. But if you just said, you're a fucking idiot and I don't want to be your friend anymore because you didn't know that the towers fell down, that wouldn't be the right approach.
Not at all.
And like I shared this with a group of friends on the weekend and they all like laughed. Yes, they said you are the dumbest thing on two legs, but it was funny because they know I'm not a bad person. They know I'm not like spitefully saying, well, I don't care about the tragedy of 9/11 and I didn't bother to do any research. It's like, I just didn't know something and I very innocently messaged you saying, oh my God, I can't believe this thing happened.
Like, we should stop making jokes about this.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just telling you in case you don't know that these...
Because the rest of us, we're 25 years past it, but you've just experienced it.
Yeah.
You're fresh. It's 2001 for you again.
Yeah, I'm back.
And you're like, are you making jokes about this right now? Guys, people died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did say that to you. I'm like, we should probably maybe not do any more jokes about 9/11 because people will fucking die. The tower fell on them.
Yeah.
No idea.
Anyways, fucking hell. I'm so sick of
Everyone.
Should we move into the Patreon? Head over to the page. Pop up on the page.
What's just before we go?
Oh.
What is the what's the plan for GMat at the moment? What we got cooking?
Nothing, man.
Sick.
I'm trying to make as much content as I can. I got a video in there. We haven't. I don't think we've got anything important in the pipelines. No events coming up or anything. All right, we'll have to cut that because then you look like a crazy person. Guys,
Have you seen
Rebel Rising? Rebel Rising, a memoir by Rebel Wilson. Pick this up in any good bookstore
Or Kmart.
or Kmart. It's a story.
Or Big W.
It's a story of a young woman who suffers through adversity, and here she is. Look at her go.
Wow. What a hero.
What a hero. We'll see you guys soon. Head over to patreon.com/GMat podcast to hear some more conversations that you definitely don't want to hear.
Hey, it's GMat here from The Real GMat, and don't forget that if you enjoyed that episode of Mentally Illegal and you want to hear more, we also have the podcast post show available exclusively to our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/GMat podcasts. The podcast post show is a shorter episode recorded directly after the main podcast where we just keep on chatting. Again, patreon.com/GMat podcasts. Don't forget to thumbs up, rate, and like this podcast on your podcast app of choice and share it with all of your friends.